Welcome to the NLC 2021 Spring Split. We are currently in week 2, day 3. And I have to mention that this is brought to you by Telia, Mastercard, and Elgiganten. And of course, it's brought by me. My name is Colleen, and I'm joined here by Goldborg and Jamana. Gentlemen, welcome to the, I would say, a bit of an improvised desk here. Unfortunately, Skyrill couldn't make it, so you have to do it with me today. And I know absolutely nothing about the NLC, Goldborg.
I mean, that's fine. We're basically EU-Masters light now with the talent coming on today. So, I mean, we're in for a ride. NLC, if we were to describe it for a new viewer, like if we talk about the games a bit yesterday, some of it is like, wow, that's really good macro and high-level play. And some of it's like, I wanna rethink watching that game.
So, you're in for a surprise here, Jamana.
Yeah, like Goldborg says, sometimes we get really solid games where, you know, both the teams are kind of playing chess with each other. You know, we're trading objectives, we're trading jungle camps. And then we get Cova versus Mirage game.
Yeah, I didn't want to say it, but...
where these guys just want to fling it at each other. And then, you know what? It's fun to watch. But like Goldborg says, it can get a bit painful. But it's enjoyable. And that's the important thing, I think.
Yeah, I love it.
It kind of sounds like that wouldn't be something you would be calling a play of the day, because that's a beautiful segue, right? Because I want to talk about that play of the day. You can find it on the social media. You can win lots of RP, and who doesn't enjoy RP? Gentlemen, today we are currently on the second week, and we are on the third day. What have I missed so far? I mean, I know about Fnatic Rising, I know about Excel. What are the teams we're going to look at today that are going to stand out for me?
So personally, I would say look out for Tricked. Had a game yesterday against Excel, and although they did have a loss, it was a close loss, albeit, but I think that they have a few issues they would fix, and then they are a really strong team, because that is also some high-level play we get out of them.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. And I think in the other side, moving away from Tricked, I think SNG might actually, moving forward, continue to be a pretty strong force in Group B. Yesterday, you know, Eminem doesn't seem to be the toughest opponent in the world at the moment, but, you know, Singularity, they keep on proving that they are definitely a strong contender for, you know, top 2 in that group.
Yeah, let's have a look at those standings, starting with Group A, or should I call it Division A? I don't know how to call it exactly. We see Excel on the top. I mean, we've seen them do that for the last few splits I've seen them so far. Then on the second place, it's going to be Trick Esports right now. We're going to see a lot of games, or not a lot of games actually, from Group A today, or are we, Goldborg?
We are. We got Nordvin watching later today against Granite Gaming. We got Tricked versus Godsend as well, and I think we got Dusty against BTXL. So we got quite a few coming up from this group, and it's close for the middle of the pack teams. Like one game can just swift change the standings, but obviously there's Dusty at the bottom who so desperately need to win, and they got the toughest opponent to worry about today.
Yeah, so we'll see all these 6 teams play out today. Another division, Division B, we only have one game. Let's have a look at those standings as well. Where it's Mirage and Singularity actually tied on the top with 3. We'll be seeing them play today, but we'll be seeing spot 3 and 4, Jamada, Fnatic Rising versus Riddle.
Yeah, and now that Fnatic have their main top laner back in Pride, I think it's going to be a pretty tough. It's going to be tough for Riddle to realistically contest these guys, I feel. They do have Sayu coming back in, I believe. He was subbed in week 1, I want to say, for all the games. Yes. Had their main jungler come back in yesterday or the day before, and Riddle didn't look as strong. So apparently the decision has been made to bring Sayu back in. So who knows? Maybe Sayu is going to be the sort of deciding factor because he is a very heavy resource player. But honestly, we're talking about Fnatic here. It's still going to be a really tough ask.
And now I'm here as well, Goldborg. He's Dutch. And, you know, Dutch players, they're the best players in Europe. I wish. No, I know. I have a little bit of bias to Dutch players, but also players that really play in the Benelux region, because I do a lot of things in the Benelux region. But before we go deep into why the Benelux is the best region in the world, let's focus a bit on Riddle and look at a video about them.
Bone starting to stack up a little bit more.
Huge combo.
Engaged by Bravado.
When we play against Fnatic, will be really interesting to see how well we can match against the Academy.
Just gonna prepare our own game like we usually do, and just like play to our strengths and hope hopefully like just win off of that.
Not gonna lie, first game I was disappointed, not because of the loss. It's week 1. I don't care if we go 0-2. I just wanna see us playing our game, right? And game 1, we sat there and we just let them do whatever they wanted, and that is, of course, not what I want to see. Game 2, other way around. Very, very happy with the performance. We showed that we can be aggressive. That is how we want to play when we have the openings, right?
Seeing how fast we're improving our team play and communication with each other is really exciting, because to me that shows that we can show a lot at the end of the split.
No, I don't think like there's a clear favorite apart from Riddle, but no, I'm joking.
As someone that doesn't really know a lot about NLC, but hearing the name Fnatic versus Riddle does raise some eyebrows, and I kind of feel like, is this going to be an exciting match, Gulborg?
Well, yeah, it was the finals of last split we got coming up here. Obviously, roster changes all around the table. Pride essentially being the only one left on Fnatic, and Riddle, yeah, changing their whole roster as well to maybe a bit of a downgrade, can't be argued about, but there's definitely still something to play for. But Riddle, they've been having really good plays when they've been setting up waves in some games, and then in other lanes, it just feels like they're just falling apart due to lack of priority or overextension where they're being punished.
Jemana, how do you feel about these two teams?
Yeah, I mean, I think pretty much similarly to Gulborg, if Riddle end up giving Fnatic any kind of leeway, you know, give them an inch, they'll take a whole mile. It's always traditionally been the kind of team Fnatic have been, so Riddle really have to be on top of their game if they at least want to make this kind of competitive, because otherwise Fnatic most likely will just end up running away with it.
Yeah. Before we start looking at the games from today, there was also a match day yesterday where you have some highlights. I want to go through these highlights, looking at them, Jemada. What am I looking at?
So this is the opening game of the day, I believe. And, well, Nordavind finally got their first win, but Godsend realistically didn't make it that competitive. And once Nordavind sort of just consistently held the neutral objective control, they just ran away with the game. There was no real answer for it. This was the BTXL game versus Tricked, and this was really, really hypey. Honestly, Markoon kind of hero saved this game by securing the Ocean Soul, or one of the Ocean Dragons to go on to secure the Ocean Soul, which, you know, had Tricked secured that dragon, delayed out the game, the scaling might have been in their favor, but they couldn't quite win out in the end.
And that is just a banger we're watching right here.
Yeah.
And Baron Buff Culver coming in a side lane, getting out-tempoed in the lane, just blowing up in a team fight. And this game took almost 50 minutes. I think it stopped at 40-something. We got Elders, we got the Barons twice, I think, as well. It was definitely a banger, which I'd rather recommend you watching highlights of rather than the whole game.
Yeah, what Gulborg said in here, this is just SNG wiping Eminem at one of the Dragon fights I saw yesterday. Eminem, honestly, early on in the game, they made it kind of competitive, but it really only took one poor Dragon fight, and SNG just rolled with the momentum. There was no real coming back. You saw Wazor really take over the game on the Aatrox in those team fights.
I think it's funny you say, like, the one match is super hype. It's a high quality League of Legends, and the other game, I think it was Kova versus Barrage. I mean, I see you laughing. I was looking at the stats because, I mean, you won't believe it, but I did a little bit of research. But that game was the longest game so far in the NLC. That was like 50 minutes. That doesn't really sound like Season 11 to me, Gulborg.
No, that's the thing. So we have very early game focus skirmishes around, getting the early drakes, get that first Baron, and at that point you usually can end the game just because of your tempo and your side lanes have been pushed in and just taking an inch of the enemy jungle, and there's not much to it really. But yesterday was a decision of bad macro between those teams, and it was a lot of team fighting rather than actually applying macro to your gameplay, and that's kind of where it faltered. But then you also get the teams like BTXL versus Tricked, where it was really close in kills, but the problem was that the objective control was constantly at BTXL sides. So once they got those neutral objectives rolling, it's really easy for a team like that to close out the game.
Yeah, but that all happened yesterday. We're all focused on what's going to happen today. Let's have a look on the schedule for today, because we have 5 matches coming up. The first one being Riddle versus Fnatic. We'll be diving into a bit deeper in a bit. Then we'll see Godsend take on Tricked. With Godsend has, I believe it's QuickTime who's in there, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, and QuickTime is also a Dutch player. So I heard he hasn't been performing too well in the NLC. But
I mean,
I do have
I'd
some
love for you to. I'd love for you to really build it up, only for your expectations to be shattered. But enough about that later, right?
Yeah, then our third game at 9 p.m. is going to be Nordavind versus Granite Gaming, and we'll be closing out the day with Dusty versus BTXL. Looking at these 4 matches, Jamada, which one is the most hype for you?
Most hype, most likely going to be Nordavind versus Granite. I think Nordavind still have a lot to prove in terms of, you know, where they should really be aiming to sit come sort of later stages of the regular season. And Granite, honestly, I think have surpassed a lot of expectations coming into this.
Yes.
So I think there's going to be a lot of hype around that one. I personally, though, I look towards the final game of the day and I sort of feel bad for Dusty. It's like you're 0-3. It's not the best split. It's certainly not the best start to the split that you can get. It's actually the worst. And then you have to deal with the top of the table in BTXL. It's a bit of a sad thought.
So we might be seeing the longest game yesterday and the shortest game is going to be today.
Potentially, yes.
First game of the night is going to be Riddle versus Fnatic. We've talked a bit about them. It was the final from last split, but things have changed up a little. Also, the support's changed up Goldborg, as Bravado is playing for Riddle now, where he was playing for Fnatic Rising last year.
Yeah, and that's going to be interesting. Bravado's still showing his good signs in as a support with like an 80% kill participation. He's really the one that the team is evolved around in terms of making plays. But at the same time, if we're having a look at Rux, who came in as the substitute for Bravado instead, he's been having stellar games as well. And specifically because there's such a good jungle support synergy between him and Maxi when taking over the map.
And the most interesting part, I think, though, of Riddle is the fact that the bot laner, Ore, actually played for the Lone Lions back in the Dutch League last split. That's the region where I mostly do my things. But also Storm, the coach there, and they were pretty successful in bending losses into wins and eventually ending up going to European Masters. Do you think there is hope for this team in beating Fnatic Rising, Jamada?
I mean, there's definitely hope there. I specifically also think with Sayu coming back in, you know, especially in this kind of meta where if one person has a really large gold lead or has a bunch of resources in almost any role, they can actually just realistically take over the game in competitive matches. So looking towards him, if Riddle sort of play this style where they let him build up his own gold lead, then maybe there is hope. But again, if Riddle muck up on things like, you know, side lane control or just general wave management, you give Fnatic that inch, they will take the entire damn game.
Yeah, because the big name on Fnatic's side, Goldborg, is Febvin, of course. All eyes are on him. How has he been performing so far?
So he's definitely always been good. Obviously, Fnatic in the first week, if you didn't watch it, had a substitute in the top lane. Pride is finally back now. And with Pride, he takes off so much pressure for the rest of the map. Actually having someone who can gain presence in the side lanes leaves room open for players like Thepavin. And honestly, people wanted him on champions that could attack, getting in there like Lucian. I personally love to see him on control mages like Orianna. He's very intelligent about the game, and it shows in his playstyle.
Yeah, let's have a look at the predictions for today, because let's see what you guys predicted in the... Well, that's a very interesting... prediction sheet there. There's a lot of Fnatic Rising. It's a lot of orange in there, Jamana.
Yeah, who would have thought people are voting for Fnatic? Yeah, I mean, it's just normally how it is. Fnatic, they just are the favorites coming into this. Really, we're almost uniform across the board with the exception of the Nordavind and Granite game. So
yeah,
I don't think people are too unmade up on who they feel is going to win today.
But let's be fair. The only two people that chose for Granite Gaming, those are casters, and the big brains on the table. Goldborg, why is Nordavind winning that game versus Granite?
So honestly, I think it's really close, and this was the hardest game for me to predict today. But I think they win because Nordavind looked so clean yesterday. They finally had priority to play around. They figured out the playstyle they kind of wanted to gel with. We saw they had issues with that in the first week where they had no priority whatsoever and just kind of rolled over and died on the top side of the map. But yesterday, they looked extremely good. And at the same time, I mean, Granite Gaming, they do have Sahira, who is pretty much the best mid in the entire world, I think, apparently. So, I mean, we might be in for a banger.
Yeah, we might be in for a banger. That's a good core from Goldborg. We'll be heading into a break, but when we get back, we have our first banger of the night. It's going to be Riddle taking on Fnatic Rising, so don't go anywhere.
If you wanna find love, then you gotta have faith. The world is on your side. The world is on your side. If you wanna find love, then you got to have faith. The world will be your guide. The world will be your guide. No, I don't care. No one can tear you down. We'll lift you up. It's about here and now. You're gonna find love. Yeah, you're gonna be alright. Yeah, you're gonna be alright. Yeah, you're gonna be alright. Love like Bonnie and Clyde. Love like right till we die. Down like thieves in the night. Love like Bonnie and Clyde. Love like right till we die. Down like thieves in the night. If you wanna find love, then you gotta have faith. The world is on your side. The world is on your side. If you wanna find love, then you got to have faith. The world will be your guide. The world will be your guide. No, I don't care. No one can tear you down. We'll lift you up. It's about here and now. Yeah, you're gonna find love. Yeah, you're gonna be alright. Yeah, you're gonna be alright. Yeah, you're gonna be alright. Love like Bonnie and Clyde. Love like right till we die. Down like thieves in the night. Love like Bonnie and Clyde. Love like right till we die. Down like thieves in the night. Love like Bonnie and Clyde. Love like right till we die. Down like thieves in the night. Love like Bonnie and Clyde. Love like right till we die. Down like thieves in the night.
It's your last song. We've been undercover, sending letters to each.
Oh, welcome back to week 2, day 3 of the NLC Spring Split 2021. We are currently getting into our first game of the night. It's going to be Riddle taking on Fnatic Rising, and you brought something up in the meantime, Goldborg, something of a double-edged sword.
Yeah, so the Riddle 2v2, they always look for plays. Aura and Bravado, sometimes they'll just get the first blood and they'll try to get the resources from that point and just win the game. But sometimes they'll just be overextending. You see the enemy jungler just slowly pathing down towards them, and you're just like, don't do it. Please don't go in. Please don't go in. And they go in and they die and they lose all their tempo.
It's interesting because Aura did this back in the Dutch league as well, and it often paid off for him here. Though I do kind of wonder, do you need to make these cheeky plays against Fnatic Rising, Jamada?
No. Short and sweet. No, you don't. You make these kind of mistakes, and these small, well, they're not even always small mistakes, but you make these kind of mistakes, and Fnatic will turn it into real big losses for you. It can be the minorest of things. So yeah, Ore, Bravado need to be on best behavior in the bottom lane. Otherwise, I could see the Fnatic bottom side like take over.
I kind of want to take it back to the interview we just saw with Bravado as well, how he was talking about that communication had evolved and they're getting better and better every day. But you got to realize that they were doing that while they had Sarchu. They were playing with him up until the first week, and so you brought in Pafkin, and maybe there was some issue in communication, and that's why they played like that. So it's going to be interesting to see now with the addition of Sarchu that they're going to be better at making coordinated plays, because they had some really sick dives when it went well for them, but we only saw that once and then just never again.
Yeah, let's focus on the pick and ban, because that's why we are here at the end. The Lulu Hovry here. Interesting to see a first pick, potentially support lane, as they are going for the Kai'Sa. It's not really a strange thing, as they're just going to trade off the AD carry as your goal board.
Yeah, so AD carry Kai'Sa has really been a priority here. I'm a big fan of picking Aphelios into it, just because that it's a lane where Aphelios always have the pressure. You can make your support roam, you can create a jungle support duo, or you can just play for the plating. But Riddle right now striking back, getting Sarge's most played champion, of course. It is the Graves. It's what we know he's comfortable on. So it makes sense until that point. And we have junglers that's been taken away here a lot, actually. 3 of them from the side of Riddle and, of course, Lilia. So that leaves Nidalee open for Maxi, which is a champion he's also been very known to play.
Yeah, then the Gragas there. Gragas has been rising in popularity as well, Jamada.
Yeah, Gragas just sort of tank top lane. Sometimes you see players take the full AP variant, but I definitely feel like the tank version is a little more oppressive in that side of things. And the big positive is, you know, you can always throw it down to the bottom side if the support matchup suits it. Normally into Alistar, but all in all, it's a safe blind. So happy to see Riddle pick it up. And Fnatic actually opt for the Renekton into it, but with the Nidalee, you can kind of understand why.
Yeah, and we've seen how confident Pride has been on this Renekton pick. Like, he was just a side lane menace, quite frankly, and he does a lot of lanes. And Abolts, thank God, it's not another Karma mid. We have a control mage, something with influence. What Riddle have been doing in their past game is they've tried to create a hyper carry composition around Aura, but that's like, it's great for building an identity. And like, yeah, I'm playing for my AD carry, but it's also really easy for the enemy. It's like, if we shut down the AD carry, you're nothing. So that's kind of been a problem for them. They haven't had enough strengths in the other sides of the map outside of the bot lane. So I'm glad to see Apples on a control mage.
Yeah, and then we see not an AD carry being picked up yet by Riddle, nor they actually left out the entire bot lane so far, Jamada.
Yeah, of course, there's still the opportunity for Gragas to go bot. So I would expect Riddle to probably take the AD carry on this 4th pick here for themselves and just conceal the Gragas flex. So it's going to force Fnatic to have to blind pick their support. So Fnatic, I think, doing the correct thing and banging out some AD carries. Kalista kind of interesting, but I would expect the next one to just be another lane prio or lane bully AD carry if it isn't the Aphelios ban.
And I know back in the Dutch league as well, like Aura's most played champion, I believe, was the Kalista as well. Yeah. Am I correct?
Together with Lucian.
All right, great. See, I know my facts here, and Samira is actually the 2nd ban to come out here. So they don't have too much CC to shut a Samira down on the side of Fnatic Rising. So I can see how that ban kind of makes sense, but it does leave champions open like Aphelios, MF, Jhin, champions we know that they also like to play. But I guess that they're just keeping the flexes open between top lane and support here. But now you know it's either the Gragas or it's the Lulu bot.
Yeah, the Lulu pickup. What's the idea behind that, Jamada?
I'm not too sure. The only thing I could really default to is saying it. They're just trying to keep a flex going, but you already had the Gragas into the Renekton matchup, which is a pretty stable one, unless they're thinking that Renekton could somehow end up mid, but I doubt it. So they just want to pick up the Lulu, maybe setting up for like the Aphelios last pick if they're scared that they're going to go Kai'Sa Lulu. Honestly, it's really hard to tell. It's a pretty strange pick in my opinion, but maybe they round it out to that hyper carry. You know, you've got the front line and you've got the Orianna to sort of provide more utility too.
Can be a scrim thing as well, but it's not something
Yeah.
we've seen in the league, and quite honestly, not in too many other leagues either. But this is a very deadly composition that's coming out from Fnatic here. Like, you got great
Wow.
easy for an Italy to land the spear, but I mean, that's why we get the Lulu pick.
Yeah,
I guess
yeah.
it's because if you pick the Cockmore, then it's like really, like it's really telling that you're going to be picking the Lulu afterwards. But by picking Lulu first, they kind of keep that pick concealed, and they want to carry against carry here. So Cockmore is something you used to do back in the day when Kaiser was released. Like, oh, you're running a hyper carry that needs to scale, we'll run a hyper carry that needs to scale. But Kaiser's really strong in laning phase, and she can already spike at a Gale Force, so it's going to be interesting to see how this will pan out when there's so much CC at the side of Fnatic Rising.
It's indeed going to be an interesting one, and lucky for you, you don't have to watch it all by yourself because we have two beautiful men casting it for us today. It's going to be Hip Rain and Foxdrop, the first game between Fnatic Rising and Riddle.
Thank you very much. Coolin is getting ready to go into the game. Hello, Foxdrop. How you doing, mate? You all right?
Mate, I am so excited to be here. It's been a while since I've last cast, and it's been even longer since I last cast with you. Words
been a hot
cannot
minute.
describe how excited I am.
I'm actually buzzing. And what a game to open up on as well. Cogmore Lulu in the bot lane for the side of Riddle. This is going to be such a corker.
Yeah, we haven't seen Coglulu in a while. It's been populated mostly with like the Kaisers and the Philios, maybe some Misfortune, Jin, these kind of champions. And yeah, Cog's kind of been forgotten a little bit, but you have a pretty decent Protect the Cogmore comp. You know, you've got Orianna, you've got Lulu. And with some frontline in there as well, it's going to be really interesting to see how Riddle play this one out and how Ori can perform as we get into these team fights.
Yeah, I think the thing we kind of need to keep our eyes on is actually the execution of this comp from Riddle. They do obviously have some really good tools with the Gragas to displace and kind of break Fnatic up. But Fnatic also have a lot of tools to get behind them. You've got the Twisted Fate, you've got the Leona, you've got the Kaiser. Coglulu could just get pounced on by Fnatic's carries and before they even get to play. So it's going to be really on Riddle making sure that they kind of navigate these fights right with the likes of that Gragas and make sure that or just kind of gets a free time to fire off and just spit all over them all. We have had
Hell yeah.
we have had a little pause, and it might actually be a remake coming in, so we might be a little bit before we get into this first game, unfortunately. That just gives us a bit more time to talk expectations and everything for the game.
Yeah, well, I think the expectations are very clear. Fnatic Rising, anything but being the best is not good enough, really, when it comes to the NLC. I think Riddle are definitely going to be up against it in this matchup purely just on paper. But I think as far as the drafts go, you know, it's a little bit... I like the fact that Riddle have a very clear game plan. It's not complicated. It's easy to execute, and whether they can execute or not will be obviously the teller. But at least, you know, they've not made it hard for themselves in that respect.
No, they haven't at all. It's a really strange one because it's like when you look at the two comps, you look at Riddle and you go, okay, Cogmore Lulu, that's their thing. You look at Fnatic, and there's way more to this comp. There's a lot of things you can do here. You got the TF, he can play around the side lanes and also put himself in a side lane. You got the Renekton, who's famously a bit of a lane bully, but you're against a Gragas, and Gragas kind of just neutralizes the lane. We've seen a bit of Gragas top. We've seen a lot of Gragas top actually over the last couple of weeks on the NLC. And it's just not fun. It's just they max CDR, and before like the stun almost wears off on the belly bop, you're getting belly bopped again. It's a really, really rough matchup, and obviously Renekton's pretty self-sufficient, but I don't feel like this is gonna be a lane we're gonna see any solo kills top lane unless Pride just goes absolutely mad.
Well, there's always a possibility. Renekton Nidley as well as a 2v2 has historically been one of the strongest top jungle matchups you can do. You've got mixed damage profiles, you've got great gank setup. The thing is with playing versus a tank like Gragas, he can stay quite safe, and if he gets like half an item, one item, it can be a little bit tough to bring him down, as you're mentioning. But also just the fact that, you know, Renekton in 2021 is very different to Renekton in 2020, I feel like. I think the introduction of Gore Drinker as an isolation item has changed a lot of different champions that otherwise would be very early game focused to give them a bit more of an oomph into those team fights and as the game goes on. So I feel like there's less pressure now on Renekton to just like snowball lane and like dumps to the lane and then, you know, get perma prio and get pressure, get vision, get objectives, that kind of thing. I think, you know, the fact that Gragas can nullify a Renekton, which I agree with you, I think he can. shouldn't be as big of a deal really nowadays for Fnatic.
No, I mean, that's just kind of shows you how broken Gold Drinker is as an item, because all these champions who are famous for having great early and then falling off just don't fall off as hard. Like the likes of the Olaf, the reason Olaf is pretty much perma-banned or perma-picked here in the NLC and in most competitive leagues as well is the fact that Gold Drinker just means that the power trough that those champions used to suffer from doesn't exist. And the reason being, for the likes of Olaf, is Olaf would either go, build Bruiser and be really squishy, or build tank and just kind of be useless later game. But now with the Gold Drinker, you can just go damage and you still do tank, because you basically have 2 health bars. Once you stand in the middle of 5, you can't be CC'd. You press that Gold Drinker and your health bar refills. We are quickly going through the champ select again right now on our screens. You guys won't be able to see that for you, but we're into ban phase 2, so it won't be long before we get going into this game. And it's going to be definitely an execution thing. I think, we talked about it quite a lot. We're going in circles a little bit on that one. It's kind of, for me, is how it's going to get played out. So I think what we should look at is jungle. I know this is your area of expertise. I want to know what you're expecting from the jungle. You set some expectations in the kind of Renekton and Nidalee having a really strong combination, but we've seen a lot of early dragons actually deciding games just purely because the soul comes quicker. And that's why I want to see who do you think is going to be playing around these objectives? Is it because of their comp, or is it because of their play style, really?
Yeah, if I'm Maxi in this game, Fnatic's jungler, I have a big smile on my face. I think the team is stronger early game, and he has ridiculous gank setup in every single lane. Just as a refresher, guys, Fnatic Rising drafted Renekton top lane, Twisted Fate in mid lane, and Kai'Sa Leona as their bot lane. Now, you can't get much more CC friendly in your lanes than that. And Nidalee is a champion who needs to land a skill shot, has a lot of damage, but doesn't have much CC. Getting that CC from your team is really, really, really nice. And Nidalee can do crazy things if she gets going. We have seen some cleansers coming out, obviously, on the side of Riddle. That's standard.
Yeah.
That's standard when you go against TF or Leona, and very standard when you go against TF and Leona. But still, if you can blow that cooldown, it doesn't take much. And either way, you don't necessarily need to get the kills. You can literally just gank, get pressure. And as you're mentioning, dragon control being such a big thing in 2021, this is one of the scary things I would say for Riddle's comp. If you can kind of turtle up and get to these big team fights, not only is it kind of hard to protect the Kog'Maw versus, the dogpiling of Twisted Fate, Kai'Sa, Leona, Renekton. But outside of that, when you get to that point, will you have given up every dragon under the sun and be playing versus a Fnatic Rising with Dragon Soul?
Yeah.
That's going to be the question to answer.
It's one of those things where, in my head, whenever I see a Kog'Maw Lulu, I'm like, right, there's a timer on this game. At some point, they're going to take over. Sure. But there's also a bunch of checkpoints that Fnatic can hit that kind of give them almost like a backup save, where if they do get the likes of a soul, then suddenly that Kog'Maw Lulu timer either gets pushed back or isn't as effective once you get to that point. We are looking at Cloud Dragon as our first Drake in this game. So, the likes of an Infernal or a mountain or even an ocean, there's all of the souls that could potentially come up are actually really impactful and do either push that timer back or negate it somewhat. We have loaded into the game, and it looks like the pause is coming to an end. So finally, after us rambling on for the last 5 or so minutes, we are ready to see our first game of the day between Fnatic Rising and Riddle. This is either going to be such a corker, or it's just going to be a really one-sided stomp. That's honestly where my headspace is right now coming into this game.
Hey man, it's NLC. It's always going to be a corker. Did you not watch it yesterday? Did you not see that Clover game? The Clover Barrage game?
I'm amazed my voice is hanging out right now, honestly.
Mate, I wasn't even on the broadcast, and I was still watching that, and it was I didn't know what was going on. I was quite happy I was on the broadcast, honestly, because what do you say about that game? Absolutely insane gameplay. And Fnatic Rising, you might think on paper, easy peasy lemon squeezy, it's Fnatic. They're a strong team, the talent's all there. Well, they haven't had the strongest start to NLC so far. There's still a little bit of growing pains going on. But obviously, there is clear expectations here of who the favorites are, and it's up to Riddle to be able to play upset.
And Fnatic looked like an entirely different team on day 1 of week 2 when they got Pride back in the top lane. Because remember, on week 1, they were playing with their sub AD carry in the top lane. He was on duty. He did a really good job considering he was off role. But when Pride rejoined the roster for week 2, they looked so good. They played versus who did they play versus? I've got it in my notes somewhere. Team Singularity, who are actually undefeated in their group, and they smashed Team Singularity. Like, there was honestly no competition in that game. It was just the most one-sided affair.
Yeah, Singularity actually, look like one of the better teams we have as well in the NLC. So I think that's fair enough. We're going to get another pause here, guys. Sorry about that. We'll be able to update you on why that is in just a little bit. But for now, it means you get to stare at our beautiful faces a bit more. Or if you're sick of looking at our faces, which you might be, because we did have a remake as well.
Yeah.
You can do a cheeky secret life hack called closing your eyes. And you just sit there like this and you pretend everything's okay. It's pretty good, actually, for life in general. Unfortunately, our producers has brought on screen, or our observers, I should say, brought on screen the chat. The reason why we are paused, but I was closing my eyes, so I didn't get to read it. But it looks like I think we're getting back
been a bit of
into...
ping.
Yeah,
But
there
it
you
is
go.
all
It's
sorted.
ping.
We're back into game. Man, I'm hoping at least if we get another pause, something's happened. So we can talk about something other than, well, this is what should happen and this was what shouldn't happen.
Yeah.
But
the beauty
looks
of
like the
League
pause has
Legends, isn't
ended and we're back on the Rift.
There's just so much. You could talk endlessly about the shoulds and the coulds in the woods, But I feel like that only gets you so far, and there's definitely talks of like execution outside of anything else. Anyone who's played solo queue knows that anything that should happen won't happen, and even though professional play is way up there compared to solo queue, there's still a lot of crazy stuff happening. So we're seeing Maxi start on the red buff this game, going down to the the Krugs, going for that full clear. No real surprise there. Nidalee is a pretty fast clearer and just going to be looking to soak up all of that gold. And of course, Graves matching that clear as well. Not champions that you're going to be seeing any crazy things out of until, it comes to fight for these crabs as they spawn at 350.
Does look like they probably avoid each other on the crabs, though, just because of how their jungle clears are at the moment.
Yeah,
So you're heading towards the bot side, he's clearing downwards, and Maxi's clearing upwards. So it might just be the junglers trade off crabs and don't see each other until either a counter gank or one of them ganks while the other one's doing some farming and goes, uh-oh, that's what I was meant to do.
Yeah, they'll probably get their resets in before anything happens here. It's important to take a look at the lanes as well and just see what lanes have prio. Because if you're a jungler, having lane priority is really, really important for your ability to leave your jungle, make plays, contest things, invade, set up vision. It looks like the bot lane's going to go in here.
Yeah, or it's just going to take a light bit of poke as or just spits back at him on the way out.
Yeah, nothing too much going there. And Bravado, of course, was Fnatic Rising's support last split. So this game probably means a little bit more to him than it does everyone else on the side of Riddle. And so far, good start for him.
Maybe he's going to find out Sayu here, but with the fact that Apples is making his way over, probably not going to want to contest that one.
Yeah, and the fact that Maxi is, as you say, all the way on the other side of the map here.
Yeah.
So 2v1 probably not favorable odds for him, and after these clears here, going to get that first reset, going to get that first fight. Ionian boots the Lucidity here for Maxi. Now, that might seem kind of weird to rush CDR boots on Nidalee, but it's really just a comment on the strength of the item itself right now. It's ridiculously good. The CDR you get from that is absolutely crazy, and just rushing down any kind of caster, any champion really that relies on abilities is really nice right now.
Yeah, kind of a nutty item.
Look at bot though. She's
looks like he's sniffing around, but it is quite hard to make their way in, and I do believe he might have been spotted out actually. Because he did poke his head fairly deep into the lane before starting to back off.
Yeah, so this is the thing as well. So you've got great ganks up in your lanes, but the problem is, until you're level 6, at least in the spot lane, you still have to respect the fact that Kog Lulu can play really far back. So yeah, you can jump in on them with Leona, but it's a little bit tricky. But then once Leona hits that level 6, once she gets that ultimate, it's so easy for this Kog Lulu to just... They're just sitting duck. Even in this situation right here, when you can see how far back Kog Lulu are playing, they're very safe right now. But at level 6, this is not a safe space for them to be in. And that really might be a huge problem for Ori and Bravado going into this game.
Dragon is potentially getting looked at here as Maxi actually is just going to start it as I say it. So early Dragon for Fnatic. A nice one as well. Cloud Drake giving that cooldown on the ultimates means Febby, once he hits that level 6, can use the Destiny more frequently to get into the side lanes. And overall, just a nice pickup for Fnatic. There are people collapsing towards them here. Apple's not level 6, and they're all just going to make their way out of the pit in time. So Riddle kind of caught sleeping a little bit there, as Fnatic able to sneak away a very early Cloud Drake for themselves.
Yeah, and that's mostly just priority. You have priority mid lane because Sovi's perma pushing, and obviously, as you saw, we were staring at bot lane. Kai'Sa and Leona were pushing in bot too. So if people were going to collapse on that play, it was going to be Fnatic collapsing first, which gave the safety to Maxi to make that play. Now, this is only a Cloud Dragon. It's only the first Dragon of the game, and you might think on paper that's not a huge deal, but considering the team compositions that we have, where Riddle's probably going to be chilling out for quite some time, I don't know. I feel like being able to stall out the game as long as you can is really important, and that timer of Dragon Soul is massive in Season 11 right now, and getting that first Dragon so early means that you can just get that soul at like 25-minute mark, which is way before the point where Cog Lulu starts coming online. So that could be kind of problematic for Riddle to lose that.
Yeah, and we'll be looking at either a Mountain or an Ocean Soul in this game as well. I think Mountain, if Fnatic are to pick up a soul, is probably best case scenario with the Kog'Maw, as the Ocean's going to make his life really hard. So you're just helping Apples shove out this lane, or actually just threatening. He's just bolting to his camps. He doesn't care about what Apples is doing. What are we looking for in the Kog'Maw build then at the moment? Because obviously ADs have changed quite heavily into Season 11. This is my first Kog'Maw I've seen in Season 11, or at least in competitive anyway.
This is my first Kog'Maw I've seen in Season 11 as well. I'm just as curious as you are to see what he's going to build. We've seen a lot of Gale Force being picked up by AD carries, which is a good crit item, attack speed. It really gives you all the stats you want, any kind of auto attack based carry. Plus the extra mobility is just bonkers. For someone like Kog'Maw who has 0 mobility, I would think that's really, really, really nice for him. So my expectations would probably just see that, but you never know.
To me, it's interesting because it's like if he trusts Bravado, then it'll be a Kraken Slayer, right?
Bro, he's playing versus Twisted Fate, Leona, like you got it. I think no matter how much
I think Gale Force is the correct build. Gale Force is probably, in hindsight, Gale Force is definitely the correct build here.
Yeah,
and it's I assume we'll see a Gwynzoo's as well, converting that crit into on hit.
Sure.
And we actually saw the Gale Force yesterday when I can't remember what AD carry it was, but they got to 6 items, and he just sold his boots to buy more damage, because the amount of movement speed you get passively off Gale Force makes up for the loss of selling your boots. So we may just see that as well. But Fnatic, though, they're just keeping the tempo high at the moment. They know that Riddle don't really want to do anything for a while, so they're going to pick up this Rift Herald, and that's just objective to objective Fnatic are just walking away with.
Yeah, and you can see already there's not a huge gold lead, but with this Herald going down, you'll be able to break some plates. So I kind of think first Herald is equivalent at least to a kill, because you tend to get like 2 plates at least out of it, which is 320 gold. But it can be a lot more as well, right? So for now, not a huge discrepancy in these lanes. So Riddle are okay with that, because obviously they're the team that wants to wait until this Kog'Maw can be spawned. But having this Herald, having that tool under their belt, once these level 6s start coming through, you've got Leona ult and Febby can ult down bot as well. If Nidalee there too with the Herald, like if you pick up a kill or 2, you can really blow this game open with that Herald.
Yeah, Febby does have that Destiny now. Lane's starting to push up a little bit here. Sayu actually is in the area, just doing a bit of counter jungling, denying these Krugs, although we'll be spotted out on a ward in a moment. Febby's making his way down. They're actually getting the blind off onto Bean into the slow from the Glitterlands. He's so low here. The teleport's coming in. Sayu has to run away, and Maxi's making his way forward. Febby goes forward with the gold card, flashing in, and Or will lose his life. First blood given over to Pride, and Bravado just going to be running to the wind.
Yeah, as I mentioned, those level 6s coming through. TP as well from Pride on that Renekton helps out as well. Not sure whether the Herald's going to be dropped there for the plates on bot side, or whether he's just going to save it for cracking open like mid lane or something like that later on into the game, which I think is fair when you've got a TF on your team. But considering Riddle was the side to start that play up, really they did bite off more than they could chew, and they have to respect the collapse power and just the compositional advantage that Fnatic have at this stage of the game.
Yeah, and as you can see on your screens, it was just Riddle started the play, and Fnatic answered it with 5 members bot side.
Yeah,
Phil's bot lane, man.
I do respect, trying to get your Kog Lulu ahead.
Yeah.
Try and accelerate their usefulness into this game. And plus, like, Graves as well, if like he can pick up a cheeky kill. Like, I know we're talking about Kog'Maw being like the main focus of this comp, but Orianna can play around Graves, so can Lulu, especially in this with the items that we have now in season 11. So
yeah,
Graves was able to pick up some more gold. That would be nice too, but unfortunately, it does not work out.
It's interesting because they don't just have one type of scaling. Pride is going to find apples, and apples is going to get chunked, and dodges narrowly away on that wild card. But the answer is Fnatic are now going to take their second dragon. We were talking about the early soul, and it is going to be very early.
It is, yeah. If the game keeps going on the pace that it is right now, it is an Ocean Soul as well here potentially for Fnatic. And Ocean Soul is kind of infamous for being one of the strongest souls that you can get in League of Legends. And I think, Fnatic won't be too sad seeing that one pop up there.
Kex is going to do a pretty decent amount of damage to that Herald, so just going to get the one charge off and give over some plates. All that gold actually went to Maxi, as no one else was actually in range to pick up on the plate gold.
Take a look at the golds here, though. It's a pretty big difference in mid for Fnatic, but also Sayu having some advantage there over Maxi. So at least that's one carry on the side of Riddle that you can, that is strong, that you can try and play around with that Orianna and that Lulu.
Yeah, and ADs are technically even at the moment. It's only 100 gold separating Or and Bean. Right as he gets bopped into the tower, so he takes the tower shot, slowed down as well, has to pop the Dominus, but Maxi's making his way forward. Here comes the spear. Kex flashes as the minion says, "Get behind me, Mr. President." Kex is going to be able to get out nice and safe, and Pride will take some plates.
Mate, the President's put on a lot of weight since I last saw him. He's a big boy, but that's that's the power of Nectar Nidalee. You saw that. There's the stun, and what's the counterplay? What's the counterplay?
Not gonna hit. Kex is gonna go down. Maxi secures the kill.
Yeah, maybe he was baited a little bit there by his team, because you saw his team going in there for the collapse, the counterplay, but just a little bit too soon there for Kex. Goes in under the tower, and as you say, yeah, you see what happens. He just gets slaughtered right where he stands, and unfortunately, more gold now going over to the side of Fnatic. They've already had a pretty good early game, so they're definitely going to be looking to advance that with a kill on Renekton this time.
Gordrigger finished up as well as the cost there, so that Renekton getting harder and harder to deal with. Gale Force finished up onto Sayu, or hasn't actually been back to base for a little while, so probably sitting on a fair amount of gold for himself, but he's okay at the moment. 1300, so not quite got the Gale Force finished up yet. But he's going to take this opportunity to reset.
Yeah.
And I know Ocean Soul is coming up, and I know Ocean Soul is really going to make the life hard for Riddle. Have we still got a timer? Is there going to be a timer when we think, or is this because it's our first Kog'Maw? We have no idea when Kog'Maw takes over anymore. So
I do think anytime you have... So Kog'Maw by himself isn't a problem. It's when Kog'Maw gets facilitated. That's when things start getting scary. And you have the Lulu, you have the Orianna, you have a frontline in Gragas, and you also, on the benefit of Riddle, is you have another carry that you can play through, which is your jungler on Graves. So even if Kog'Maw isn't the one, it's fine. You still have someone else. Having said that, I still think you've got to wait a decent amount of time, really. At least he's got to get his first mythic. Really, Kog'Maw used to be like a 2-item champion, but that was before, when you would get like on-hit items, and I don't even know whether Season 11 itemization really enables that kind of thing anymore. But I really think that this right here, how we play bot lane, is super important, because Ori needs to get his mythic before this dragon spawns if Riddle have any chance of contesting this one, which they obviously want to do, because if they don't, they're on Dragon Point. We'll see if Riddle can play around that.
Well, Maxi's going to take the second Rift Herald, and there is no contest from Riddle. Or just wants to continue to sit in this bot lane and hopefully work towards that Gale Force, or maybe Kraken Slayer.
Yeah.
I see Blade the Ruin King's actually quite good on him.
Yeah. I think Bork would be a good option as well. You'll probably see that coming out second, maybe third as well. Withstand will be all right as well against, you know, the magic damage that you're seeing coming from.
True, yeah.
But Ori's been left alone bot side, and that's the
Has
prime.
Cleanse slid into, but Bean just takes him down. 2 tower shots and a pop.
Yeah.
Bean will survive.
That's no bueno, mate. I'll be honest with you. Both summoners block burnt, gone. That's not going to be up for the dragon fight. Can't afford his mythic on this recall either. So that's not going to be up for the dragon fight. And now it's almost a foregone conclusion here that Fnatic will pick up this third dragon. And when that happens, you know, you're talking about a timer for Kog'Maw. I really think that's the bigger timer in this game, that fourth dragon. Because once you get that soul, I really just think it's going to be so hard for Riddle to get back into this game.
It's very, very rough. And the Mythic now not finished up for Aura as well. Like you said, Dragon's coming up and Riddle have to contest this. Leandri's not finished up onto Apples either.
It's just Riddle just need more time, but they're not going to be giving it. You know, they're really not going to be giving it here. And you can see Riddle don't want to give it up, but they don't have a choice. Realistically speaking, they do not have a choice. You can see Pride's walking down here as well. Like if they try and contest this one, what's going to happen is they're going to lose 2 or 3 people plus the dragon, and then the game's going to be put out of their reach. So as much as it hurts to do, you really do just have to give up this dragon and just say, all right, guys, in 5 minutes time, that's it. That's the do or die moment. Can we contest at that point? I pray that you can.
If not, it was a very, very greedy comp as Or cleanseless, flashless. Wild Growth will be used, but Or is just so low already. Can't put the damage out. And Bean going to go pretty low here from the pop, but won't die. 114 HP at the end of that one. Or just getting target bullied right now. Now Sayu has to jump away from Pride. Kex is on his way, and they are going to put a fair amount of damage in. Dominus is used. Sayu taking a lot of damage, but they do have the ultimate coming in from the Destiny.
Oh.
Sayu clears over the wall. Pride looks to chase him down, and here comes Apples actually looking to turn this one around. Got the green balls. The shockwave is flashed, and Apples not going to be able to find it.
Apples and the rest of Riddle dedicating a decent amount to that play right there, but not getting anything out of it. That is one of the things that you would hope you can convert on if you are in a game like this where you are playing from behind and you really just need to claw your way back into it. Fortunately for them, no dice on that play. Fnatic able to just walk away with, I think it was really just the flash from Pride and the ulti from TM.
This game's actually got 2 of your 5 a day. You got Apples and Beans.
Oh, yeah, man. Oh, dearie me. And only in England could that be a staple breakfast as well. Lucky for us that we're on this game.
Oh, yeah. I was like, because I was thinking of green beans. But no, you're actually, yeah. Baked beans, man.
Beans on toast, mate. That's right.
I love baked beans. Kex is probably in trouble here. Zenith Blade into Spear, into Solar Flare. Kex doesn't even get to play League of Legends. He just dies.
Nope. Yeah, that I feel like that's gonna be if you just want to record that statement and just, you know, set it up like a soundboard or something to repeat it over and over in this game. I'm pretty sure insert name doesn't even get to play League of Legends. He just dies. I think that's pretty much going to be the theme of the rest of this game so far. Let's take a look at the cheeky gold here. That's it's a big lead being built up in the bot side, mid side as well, pretty much all over the board. You got significant gold advantages. Sayu being able to keep up there for Graves in that jungle matchup, but it's just him so far, and it's not looking too good for Riddle.
Yeah, that was some cheeky gold there. Pretty big lead over to the side of Fnatic, and this is exactly what happened to Singularity yesterday. They just didn't get to play. I think it's slightly greedy with the fact they went for the Lulu Cog, but
yeah, I feel like this is a strategy where, I mean, like I mentioned in the pregame, I think it's a simple strategy, and if you can get it to work, I think it's okay. I do actually, as far as the Protect the Kog'Maw comp goes, I do like what Riddle have done. Yeah, I like the fact you have a secondary threat as well in the Graves. You've got that front line too. I think it's quite nice. The only thing is you're lacking engage, but that's not necessarily a problem when you're playing a turtle comp like Protect the Kog. But just right now in the meta where the games are so fast, you don't really have the time to make these work. I think it's one of those things where, yeah, if Riddle could have held on without being 5 kills down, 5k gold down, and 3 dragons down at 20 minutes, maybe this was how they thought it was the best chance for them to beat Fnatic, who is an exceptionally strong side.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, though, you're just seeing the pit flaws of this comp and the strength of Fnatic.
It is the Kraken Slayer as well for Orr. So
Yeah.
this is really going to be on Bravado to make sure Orr doesn't die, because he has no safety built into him. He is just flat damage.
Yeah, exactly. And that's, I mean, it is a lot of damage. Don't get me wrong. You have on hit with your W. Now you've got like a semi-vane on hit effect as well every third hit. He's going to hurt, you know, and if you've got Renekton in your face, you've got Leona in your face, you will be able to melt through them. But as I was saying, you just don't have a lot of protection. And I think that's going to be a problem, really, this game. I mean, even that, mate. Like, honestly, Leona Rock's one thing to worry about. Now you've got rapid fire gold cards to think about as well. Like,
with the Protobot as well.
So hard. Yeah, exactly.
Just slides into your DM and swings his business card.
Yeah, and there it is. Call me later, mate.
Looks like Fnatic are setting up a little something here. So you're just going to take a spear, and there's the shockwave. Apple's almost taken down as Bebby uses the gold card. The teleports are coming in, and that will be the end of Apple's actually able to survive through everything somehow. Pride forced the TP in as well.
Right. Okay, he was thinking about it. I'm not quite sure when this dragon is spawning. It's got the gray timer ticking down here on the there it is. All right, it's like 15 seconds here. Okay, so Riddle are now in a place where they can't really contest this one either. They're gonna have to really pull something out here, see what they can do.
Yeah, the Chunk Sayo as well. Look at the flank though. You've got Bean and you've got Pride. Fnatic in so much hurt as Sayo's just getting chain CC'd. He doesn't get to play League of Legends. He just dies as Featherman takes him down. And now Bean, looking for a turnaround, is going to dodge away on the Glitter Lances. Riddle actually find themselves a little caught out here. Apple's getting chunked out heavily by Bean. Pride has spot the Dominus and looking to chase. Watch for the shockwave. That could be the big one. Ruck's going very, very low. And Orr actually free-firing away. He does some serious damage right now. But Fnatic, they don't care. They've still got the members. They've still got the health bars to work with. And with the fact Ocean Soul will get picked up, this could get nasty. Kex, no ultimate available. Trying to make his way forward. No smite available either. As the gold card connects and Kex will just get melted. Shockwave lands onto 2. But that is Orr down as there's a double kill secured for Bean. Apples is running to the wind and Bravado will leave him alone to die. Ocean Soul secured and Apples looking to make the run. But Pride will lock him down with the dominance. And the Destiny has been. Gale forces for a kill. Picks up another one as well. And Fnatic are just walking through Riddle right now.
Yeah, that is a delayed ace there for Fnatic. Riddle knew they had to try and contest. It was the Ocean Soul, that fourth dragon. Really don't want to give that one up. And you saw there were signs of life there from Riddle in that team fight. They had some decent damage, but unfortunately just not enough. And it's going to be Fnatic securing that Ocean Soul. They are now ridiculously far ahead in this game, and a 23-minute Baron is next.
I don't think there's any contest. This game feels so rough for Riddle right now. Or trying to get his Hurricane finished up, but he's now going to be dealing with Baron waves pushing into him.
Yep.
And an Ocean draped up Fnatic. So he's going to have to make a miracle steal here, almost. That was close, actually, with the old smoke screen.
Yeah, that was a decent try. I mean, it's so tough, really. I mean, he's got so much farm, though. It's crazy. That's good, at least, for Riddle. I'm not sure it's going to be enough to help, but it is something. And, you know, you can see the struggles here. Or at least, you know, I'll cast my positive light here on this Baron going down here for Riddle. So you saw in that Dragon Soul fight, Riddle were forced to move forward to contest the Dragon, and then they got wiped because Kog'Maw comps, protect Kog'Maw comps, do not want to move forward, they want to move back. When Baron's being taken, your lanes are going to be perma-pushing in, and that means you can finally play back. You just let them come into you collect minion waves, you try and turtle, you try and farm up. At least that's one semblance of hope here. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to sell this too hard to you, Jake, but it is something, you know, maybe 2 items here on Kog'Maw, if he can get to 3 and somehow survive all of this dogpile coming in from Fnatic. Maybe there is hope.
That gold graph is disgusting. That is actually so nasty. And with the Hurricane finished up onto Orr, does have a little bit of extra wave clear to work with. But this is going to feel incredibly rough, and Riddle have to find some kind of answer, but they are just getting pressured on all fronts right now.
Yep. And I'm not sure what Riddle can do about it, honestly. Like, they're just pushing in every single lane, and every single lane demands, like, all of Riddle's attention. You need, like, 15 people on Riddle's side to effectively deal with this 1v1 here.
Mug's actually missing out there. Get caught by the shockwave. Can take a lot of damage. So has the collector. He is able to secure himself the kill. Meanwhile, Pride and Maxi will take an inhibitor topside. But a kill for an inhibitor. Riddle probably a little bit okay with that one. Bean, though, pushing out in the bot lane. But here comes Kex. Can he find the cask onto Pride? Knocks him into the wall. Sayu glides forward with the Gale Force. And I think Fnatic are just going to look to run away from this one. So now looking to see if he can turn it around. The spear goes a little bit wide, and Or has actually just left them because Fnatic are pushing into their base, are looking to take a second inhibitor here, and Sayu is going so low. One last spear from Maxi could be trouble as Febby slides in with the gold card. Or takes a lot of damage, has to cleanse away for the moment. Has got Bravado to work with. Fnatic looking to close this game out. Riddle are going to have to pull off a bloody miracle now.
They're going to have to pull off more than a miracle, and I'm not sure if they can find it here. Orianna is dead as well.
Oh
she died trying to protect the base. It's a lot of damage, but, you know, this is the thing. If you can hold on and be kind of equal at this point, then, oh my goodness, Koglulu is scary. But Fnatic, they've had such a commanding lead over this game. They've been absolutely dominant. This is really what we are expecting out of the Fnatic squad coming into NLC 2021. High expectations for this squad. The names on this roster just really impressive, and the way they've played this game, they've lived up to all those expectations, and it's been very clean the way that they've played this game, which to me is the most impressive part.
It's definitely a very different Fnatic from what we saw in week 1. Pride being on the team has really kind of made everything come together.
Yes, and I saw it. Sorry.
No, you carry on. I'm just talking, you know, mad nonsense, really.
Well, me, that's our job. Like, come on, that's what we're paid to do.
Oh no, apples! Shockwave onto Febby, caught by the gold card. Takes a lot of damage. The Ignite will tick, and Featherton,
yeah,
able to take him down.
Doesn't get to play League of Legends, unfortunately. And that has been the story of this game. You're now getting all 3 waves here of super minions crashing in.
Oh no! Or is just CC'd through everything. Cleanse QSF don't even mean diddly squat as Bean. Going one toe-to-toe with Sayu and Bravado. Will lose his life, but his team will take the base in response as Featherton just doing some serious work on this Twisted Fate. Maxi will close the game out. 28 minutes on the clock, and Fnatic just stomp Riddle.
Well, you predicted a bit of a one-sided game, Jake, and that was a pretty one-sided game. They tried their best. Riddle with that Koglulu draft, they obviously had a clear idea of what they wanted to do, but unfortunately just wasn't happening for them. And Fnatic, you know, if you're a Fnatic fan and you're looking to see, you know, to see the performance that we've known Fnatic to put out, the team that consistently makes EU Masters, the team that so far is only 2-1 in the NLC. Well,
3-1 now.
3-1 now, and very positive signs for all Fnatic fans.
Absolutely. Right, it's time for some adverts, so we got to pay the bills. We'll see you in a second after this.
Beyond the lover's bloodshot eyes, another ocean opens wide. Our love is sick but still alive. Then all our hearts would radiate and melt the sadness we create. Only then could we survive. Let's turn around before we drown. Singing hey, hey, has almost passed us by. Still we watch it fade away. And all our prospects wearing thin. We don't know where to begin, or where we might have gone astray. We crave, we strive to feel alive. Singing this love is all around us. This love is all around us. Wait for tomorrow. Lay in sorrow. Along your waste. This is no fate. Singing hey, hey. This love is all around us. This love is all around us. This love is all around us. This love is all around us.
Yeah, welcome back to the desk. As we just saw Fnatic Rising take down Riddle in a well, it wasn't really a close game, Goldborg.
I mean, it was close to being a perfect game for Fnatic. That's the only close thing about that game. I mean, that was just what we want from Fnatic. This is what we expect when we see the star-lined lineup that they have gathered for this split.
Yeah.
And in all honesty, it was just clean. It was beautiful to watch. You had the early objective setup, which was perfect when you go against Kokmo, and just kind of neutralized whatever Riddle wanted to do.
Jaman, how did you feel about the drafts? Because looking at Fnatic Rising's draft, it was pretty, well, yeah, it was just the meta. It's just like what everyone plays right now. And on the other side, you have Riddle, who was trying to be a bit more different in a way.
Yeah, I mean, speaking with Goldborg just now, before he came on air, I think he raised a good point in saying, whilst it was like, yes, a curveball, the Kog'Maw Lulu, right? You don't see Kog'Maw Lulu at the moment. It's basically non-existent. The rest of the draft kind of just said, all right, we're going to sit here, wait, scale for like 30 minutes. And then if Fnatic haven't rolled us, then we have a composition. But I think, much like Goldborg has said to me, if you're going to take that kind of draft flip where you say, all right, you know, let's see how it goes. Just flip in the early game. Just draft a bunch of early game champions and see if you can push Fnatic in the early game and make them uncomfortable. But instead, we get this kind of composition where they roll over and die really slowly, and it's kind of sad.
Something that was quite noticeable for me was the way Maxi actually pathed early game. The rate he did his clear against the Graves Goldborg. That actually was the start of the downfall for Riddle.
Yeah, he was always one camp ahead. Essentially, after the first full clear, the timing for him out on the map kept being one camp ahead. Then it was 2 camps ahead. It was just easy setup with essentially stacking the early Drakes here. And with that, I kind of want to take it onto the drawing board so we can take a look at the last Drake fight we had with the Ocean Soul, essentially. If we can get the drawing board.
Yeah, would be really handy to have that if you want to talk about it.
Oh,
So what are we
hey.
going to look at?
So what we're going to be having a look at here is the setup for the Ocean Troll. To kind of paint the picture here, Febiven has just looked upon a play for apples, but an overextension where they didn't get the kill. That means that the mid lane is essentially forfeited in terms of pressure. So you can see that right now, Riddle has this map open for them. And that means that Fnatic actually has a hard time getting into this area as we play it out. You can see that they need to force their way into the mid lane to essentially gain control of this area and entrance to the Drake. But what they do have is the bot lane completely dominated and pushed in, which means that you can see already Bean and Pride coming on the way into this Drake. So what you need to do here, Fnatic, is you need control back of this mid lane. How do you do that? You fight, but they're so split over on the side of Riddle here. Sadio is essentially the only one keeping this little, I don't know, clutch, curveball, whatever you want to call it, open for them. And then it turns into a 4v5. And I actually think that they do a pretty good job at kiting out with the composition they have here in Riddle. You can see this is where the kind of shining points come through when they walk into you, the big disengage onto rocks. They can't really do much at the side of Fnatic, but luckily for them, it's Riddle who's forced to walk forward. It's Maxi and company here on the side of Fnatic that has the Ocean Troll in sight for them, and that just means that you need to walk up in a composition where you want to kite back. When you do that, well, it's easy cleanup for Fnatic, and essentially, while we fast it forward, they get the Ocean Soul, they get the Ace, and they get the game.
Yeah, there wasn't much to bring in for Riddle here. Jawada, do you feel like Riddle actually played bad in a way, or was it just Fnatic stomping them and playing really, really good?
Yeah, I mean, I think Riddle kind of just put themselves in a position where they didn't really get to play or actually play any kind of game. And Fnatic on the other side, I think, did a really good job of making sure that was the case anyway, like draft aside. So it's kind of hard to say. I think it's just Fnatic playing really well. Like we saw in that replay, if Riddle actually had better fighting opportunities, right? Having Fnatic come into them, you could see the draft start to come online, but they never really had the opportunity to do that outside of that Ocean Soul Dragon.
Yeah, and for Riddle, we heard their coach talk as well that they don't mind if they start out 0-2 or they take losses, but they want to see some shining light with the potential kind of coming through. And there's not much to take away from this game outside of the fight we just watched here. So I'd say that with the tools Riddle had going into this game, they played pretty well when the fight started to happen. Problem for them was that the game was not in a state where they could play out what their comp wanted to do. You were not ahead, so you couldn't essentially force your opponent to go into you. You had no neutral objectives, and in turn, that just meant that you had to play your composition in a way it was not designed to play.
Yeah, I'm kind of wondering though, because it has always been about BTXL and about Fnatic, and I think we're almost ready to go into an interview as well. Yeah, I think we're actually going to the interview, so I actually can ask the question straight to the mid laner. It's Febiven joining me here for the interview. Febiven, thank you for your time, and congratulations on the win. It was a pretty good one, if one would say. What was a perfect game?
Thank you. I mean, yeah, it was a pretty good game. We played good with pressure, and they were just, I don't know, doing nothing. So they deserve to lose.
Okay, pretty harsh words there. So I was just talking about it, and the story has always been about Fnatic Rising. It's been about BTXL. Looking at that other group, are you looking forward to playing against BTXL, and how do you expect that game is going to go?
I mean, I'm always looking forward to play against good teams, right? And good players. I don't know exactly how good they are. I just know that they're hyped, I guess, in this league.
Yeah.
But I don't know how good they are, so we will have to see.
Mm-hmm. Looking at your own performance on the Fnatic Rising side, I mean, you had a bit of a, well, not say a fair start of the split. Now we see the full force of Fnatic Rising here. How has the team been coming together so far?
Pretty well, I think. I mean, we're having pretty good time outside of the game. It's showing in the game as well. I think we are all very, I don't know, relaxed, open, and just chill towards each other. And we have a good environment, I would say. So it's been very nice, relaxing, and we've been progressing a lot, I think. So yeah, it's been cool.
But then the big question is bot lane going to get punished for ruining the perfect game?
No. Doesn't matter. I mean, no.
All right. I'm going to keep it short because I think you want to enjoy your time off as well. So thank you for your time and see you next week.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Pretty harsh words, though. I'm not going to lie. I've seen him being interviewed by Scoundrel before. He's not afraid to say what he thinks, Goldberg.
I mean, no, most certainly not. And essentially, yeah, he's right. We're just family friendly.
Yeah, we are indeed family friendly, and with that family friendly being I don't want to shed too much light on it. I kind of felt like it was in some way it was a bit BM. I don't know if I can say that because I mean it is a player though that has played on bigger stages, but that's for you to decide at home as well. We're gonna head into a small break, but when we come back, it's up for our next game. It's gonna be Godsend taking on Trick.